Welcome to True Wellness with Dr. D, the podcast where we explore what it takes to live with vitality, balance, and purpose. I am Dr. D, and each week I'll bring you powerful tools, inspiring stories, and expert insights to help you thrive in every area of your life. From health and wellness to mindset and navigating life's challenges, this podcast is your guide to creating a life of true well-being. Be sure to check the show notes and grab your free copy of the True Wellness Checklist so you can get started on your journey to true wellness right away. Now, let's get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of True Wellness with Dr. D. And today I am thrilled to welcome Dorota Kuldo. She is a decluttering mentor who helps women break free from lifelong clutter, overwhelm, and the invisible weight of that good girl conditioning. You guys, Dorota knows the journey firsthand. So if you're looking around your home or your car or your workspace and you're like, oh my God, I am surrounded by all of these things, then you're going to want to listen in for today's interview. Because Dorota, like I said, she knows the journey. While working 2 full jobs, she decluttered 70% of her own belongings in just 6 months. And in the process, she discovered her true superpower, creating clutter-free systems that last, right? Not by forcing rigid rules, but actually, you guys, this is right up our true wellness framework alley because it's also about mindset. It's about nervous system regulation. It's about brain-based strategies that make a difference. So her approach, when you're going to hear it, goes way beyond just tidying things up. She really helps women to untangle those deeper patterns that keep them stuck so that decluttering can actually feel doable, but sustainable and also fun, right? Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. What an amazing introduction.
Well, I'm super excited because I'm always looking around. There's never a time in my mind where I'm not like, oh, I really need to like organize some of that, or I need to get rid of some of that. Or sometimes like I open up my closet and I'm like, oh my gosh, like how much of this stuff am I actually going to hold on to, and for how long, And so this, I think, is a great conversation because I'll say that in my practice at South Bay Wellness, we have women who come in all the time, and they're talking about, the same thing, like their environment. It makes it harder for them to, feel and do things that motivate and improve their health. And it has to do with what's going on in that environment. And we know, by the way, if we're surrounded by all this stuff, even at like the energetic level, it's having an impact on us. So how did you walk us through a little bit more about your journey? Because you've mastered this when the rest of us are standing around saying, oh my God, what do I do next?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. It's if you told me that I've mastered having my space mess free like 6 years ago now, I would laugh. I would laugh and I would just not believe you. But funny thing is that when I really, really struggled with clutter the most, that was pandemic time. Just when it hit. And I ran a very successful cleaning business at the time. So the shame and that, imposter syndrome of I make sure that other people's homes are, clean, tidy, organized, whatever, but mine was just like a disaster, right? And like you said, at that time I was juggling 2 jobs, working 15 hours a day.
Yes.
And I was drowning in clutter. But the breaking point for me, it wasn't, what you expect. It wasn't, the piles of laundry or the piles of paperwork or just, the piles everywhere. It was actually a dead plant. That was a breaking point for me.
Oh!
It's a really funny story, actually, because I absolutely killed this plant. Like I overwatered it. There was like muddy water. I went to like grab it to throw it away, and like this muddy water just went everywhere. Like, can you imagine? Literally, like I was like filthy, soaking like this. Oh, even now, like thinking about it, it just gives me an ick. And I remember like I stood there thinking, this is my life. Like, I
Mm.
just cannot keep doing this any longer. And that was my like enough is enough moment kind of thing.
Yes.
And, I had tried everything throughout my whole life. I tried organizing, I tried marathon week purges and all those things, but it never lasted.
Uh,
And, even affirmations, like I remember sitting googling like affirmations for keeping my space clean or whatever. Like I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was just like ridiculous. But they all failed because I actually never addressed the real issue, which was my nervous system. That's a
mm,
big thing. My body and our bodies in general, like not only mine, but we all humans, right? We all have that. We see letting go as unsafe, right? On
yeah.
a like biological level, we see it as something unknown, therefore unsafe.
Yes.
So no amount of motivation, no amount of affirmations or the lists, checklist will actually help. They won't stick unless we figure out how to regulate our nervous system and we actually do that work first.
Right.
And once I did that, like you said, 70% of the stuff in 6 months, like for me, it was huge.
Mm,
And bear in mind, I still at that time worked 15 hours a day. And I got rid of 70% of my stuff.
wow. How time
So
is that to do that?
it goes quick because when you regulate
Hmm.
and you have the system that supports you, and
Yes.
you don't overexhaust yourself, you do what you can.
Mhm.
What happens is, on sort of like a chemical level in our body, the dopamine hit is so huge,
Yes.
right? Because like you walk in and you're like, oh my gosh, I did that, I decluttered this space, this is cleaner, and you see the results, you see them all the time, and you want to keep going. And the beauty of all of this is that it becomes such an automatic part of your everyday.
Yes.
But yeah.
I love that. I love that. Because it works the other way, right, Dorota? It's like, yeah, you walk in, you see the space is really great and you're proud of yourself. So you have that dopamine hit, but it does, if we keep it that way, it's still, it has the opposite impact to just have that clutter there. And I think we don't even realize sometimes how much it's actually like weighing us down. Like, I'll be honest, like my 7 year old's laundry is in my room in her bucket. And every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, but I don't have time right now to go through and fold all her laundry for her, right? But every time I walk in that room, it catches my eye. Whether
Mhm.
it's conscious or unconscious, it's still in that periphery, right? So it literally is like our mind gets cluttered when we're surrounded by clutter.
Yeah, the mental load of clutter is probably what is worse than clutter
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
Because it's not, clutter is just a mirror of everything that's going on internally with us. And it's a reflection of, the way we sort of our programming, our upbringing, the way the society, what it expects from us, and it all compounds to the point that actually this pile of laundry, like your 7-year-old laundry, it's not that. It has nothing to do with the clothes itself. It has all the expectations that you quote unquote failed to adhere to or whatever, right? Fulfill. And just there's just so much going on around this, that
Mhm.
especially for us women, because we have been sort of, it's ingrained in us, all those expectations, and that we should be able, and the word should is just like, it should be it should, but that's a good example of using it, be erased from our vocabulary altogether. Because with should comes judgment, comes shame, and that just, it doesn't help.
No, not at all. Now, what about, I know so many people, it's like, or even myself, it's like, oh my gosh, I've tried everything when it comes to organizing or decluttering. But why do you believe that traditional decluttering advice doesn't actually work for so many people?
Mm, I would flip it. I would say it only works for people who it works for, right?
Okay,
So,
fair.
so that's the thing, right? I truly believe that every single thing that you try works as long as you stick with it, and
Mm,
as long as you are regulated enough to stick with it, and it's something that comes to you naturally. But the
mhm.
problem with traditional decluttering advice is that it is being viewed as a standard, right? So if it's a standard, right, it means that I have to adhere to that standard, right?
Yes.
That if I'm not able to achieve that standard, that imaginary standard, then there is something wrong with me. We think that we are maybe, other people can do it. Why can't I? Like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
those kind of things. So I would say always, is the method, it's never your fault, it's the method. So if this one doesn't work, try a different one. But there
Yeah.
is no such thing as rules, like decluttering rules. People say, this rule and that hack. Like, I always say to people, burn the rule book. Like,
Yeah.
you make the rules.
Yes, yeah. I always hear,
Yeah.
what's the woman's name? She had a popular TV show, Marie Kondo, right? And she's always like, "Does this bring you joy?" So as I'm in my closet, I'm like, "Does this bring me joy?"
Yeah, I love I love the premise of her method,
Yes,
because that's the whole idea of, we should be keeping things that are making us feel good. I
yeah,
can fully stand behind that. Everything else, no.
yeah, yeah. Well, let's dive into that a little bit, because what I hear you talking about is like sort of, it's like a mindset shift in the experience of decluttering. Something from it being like a chore or a standard to maybe having it be something that's more empowering.
Yeah. Oh, so such a how do I want to, like, bite into this? There's just so many things going through my head right now. Yeah, definitely, the chore, like having to do it because I have to.
Yes.
Really, we really, it would be good to rewire that into, I get to do those things, I choose to change my life through decluttering, or I choose to change my environment, and then see how your entire life is going to change if you do that, right? But definitely changing, like shifting the way we speak and think about it, as something that you get to do, that you get to do something about it. You always have a choice. That is going to be a big one, rather than making yourself do it because of
Yes.
unknown XYZ.
Yes. Well, that reminds me. I mean, because some of it is that good girl sort of complex that you talked about, but I know the other thing that you speak about is people pleasing, and it reminds me. So, you know, my mom did this all the time when I was growing up. I catch myself doing it even now. It's like the house is like in an okay status, but not enough that you would like open the door and want people to come right in without feeling embarrassed, right? And then right before company comes, I do like it's like the major clean, but it's not just a major clean. It's like all this like hurry and frustration and this like anxiety over making sure everything looks perfect, right? It's like that people pleasing part. And I know you talk about like the connection between people pleasing and clutter. And can you dive into that a little bit for us?
Of course, yes. So people pleasing comes from a lot of times comes from that good girl conditioning. So
Hmm.
just in a nutshell, what good girl syndrome or good girl conditioning, what it is, growing up, we were the good girls. So the one who always stayed quiet, the one that didn't cry, the one that, the parents would say, you're such a good girl, you share with your brother and your, toys or whatever, right? So we have learned, and that's where the people pleasing comes from, and lack of boundaries as well,
Yes.
where we sacrifice our own sense of self for something else to please others. And now yes, it's a good example. You said I need to please the people that come in because they cannot possibly think that I run my like I must be perfect, right? To other people. But also, every single time when you are offered like a taste of something, I don't know, like a leaflet, or in the store a little, like a sample, you take those even though like maybe you don't want to, right? Because you want to please the person, you don't want possibly that for that person to think of you like in a bad way. So we bring stuff into our home. It's more about like the reasons why we bring stuff and why we keep them. If you got a gift that you didn't like, are you happy to get rid of it, or are you going to keep it?
Yeah.
People pleasers, good girls, they're going to keep it.
Hmm.
um and it's very hard to let go, because what is that person going to think about me when she finds out, for example, that I got rid of the present that she got me, right? So it goes really deep. It goes into that, how have we actually been brought up, and learning to set some boundaries slowly.
Yeah, I love that. Tell me a little bit. So, in with respect to that, what are some of the strategies that you use when you work with your clients to help them move past those things?
First, the first and the most important, I love because it's such an underrated thing, is give yourself grace.
Mm,
Give yourself time. Decluttering is not going to happen overnight, in the same way that the stuff didn't appear in the home overnight. Like a collection. It's like a lifetime collection of things, no matter how old the person is. So yeah, give yourself grace, and it is going to be. And one thing that I always say to people, that you will be decluttering until your last day on this earth,
it's like
right?
dishes,
And dishes.
laundry.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like a lot of like pushback that I get is, but I want to be, I want to do it once and be done.
Hmm.
But then we always bring stuff into our home, right? We
Yes.
always do. So we move places, we move countries, we, the seasons change, we grow older, our fashion, our sense of whatever we want to keep changes. So we will always be decluttering. So the grace is the most important one. And regulation, nervous system regulation, right? And without this, it's going to be so much more challenging.
Hmm. Well, let's dive into that, right? Because I think nervous system regulation is almost like a buzzword today. But let's
Yeah.
talk about when you refer to nervous system regulation and how important it is to decluttering. Dive in with us a little bit and explain how you view it.
Yeah, you are so 1000% correct. I love that it is a buzzword because it's an important topic for us to talk about, but also it gets a bad rep when people push it too far.
Mhm.
When I see posts like, for example, on Instagram, 10 ways I didn't know I was regulating my nervous system, and they list things like, cold plunge and yoga every day, and then this and that, and reading like a book a week, and those things. These are nervous system regulation tools,
Yes.
yes, but there is like 1,000,010 nervous system regulation tools. So
Yeah.
the one I like to start with how our body actually functions. So if we think about if we look at what nervous system is there for, is to protect us. That is the only job. It's to keep us safe.
Yes.
It, you know, 2 million years ago, 20 million years ago, like I'm really bad with numbers, but when we still lived in caves, right? we our immediate environment was the cave. That was the safe place. Everything outside of the cave was a potential danger. So if we now take this back to our times, the cave is everything that we are familiar with. Whether we are happy or unhappy, it doesn't matter here. It's
Yes.
everything that we know. So the clutter is what you know. Everything that is outside of the outside of that, sorry, so the unfamiliar is treated as by nervous system as sort of perceived danger.
Right.
And it uses tools like procrastination, like anxiety, self-judgment, self-criticism,
Yep.
self-sabotage, and more to make us not do the things that are outside of that familiar zone, right?
Right.
So going back to decluttering, let's say, you had enough, you had your enough is enough moment, like I did, right? And you spilled the muddy water all over yourself, and you go, okay, I'm going to start decluttering. And you don't regulate, right? And your nervous system, at the beginning, there is going to be that motivation, but it fades away really, really fast. So your nervous system is going to go, I'm sorry, what are you trying to do? I don't think so.
Hey, this is Dr. D. I just wanted to remind you that you can get started on your true wellness journey. Go ahead and check the show notes and grab a link to the True Wellness Checklist. Now, let's get back to the episode.
I don't want to do that. I don't know what you're trying to do. And it's going to pump the brakes really, really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when, maybe, let's say, for the best example here that I can give you is, let's say you found a method, like a decluttering method, right? That you are really pumped about. And within a week of not seeing the results because there wasn't enough of the nervous system regulation done, what
Mm-hmm.
is going to really fast happen is the lack of clarity. So you're going to go online and then maybe look for a different way to do it, and
Uh-huh.
then different way to do it, and then different way to do it. This is nervous system here saying, no, no, no. You think you're going to declutter, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do everything that I can to stop you, right?
It's no different with people's health or weight loss or eating
Same.
healthy.
Yes.
Yeah, I see it all the time, especially in prospective clients, like when we do our webinars or things like that. And you've got these people who come on, they've been searching and scrolling, TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and throwing darts at the dartboard and trying to hit the bullseye, or webinar hopping, where like they've watched 5 different webinars trying to find the answer, right? And they try something
Yeah.
for a couple days.
That holy grail of what this one method that is actually going to work. So
Yeah.
here's what we do. At least what I like to do with my clients, we are going back to the biology, basically.
Love
So,
it.
so back in the day when we were still living in the caves, there was the danger that was nervous system protecting us from was a saber-toothed tiger or
Yes.
something.
Yes.
So our job right now is to have a look around, literally in your immediate environment where you are. Are you in danger? Just check, like literally check. Is there a tiger, saber-toothed tiger that are extinct
Not in my
chasing
office.
you? Not in my office either, right? But that's one of the first things that we do. Just check if we, because here's the thing: your nervous system doesn't know whether you are in actual danger or perceived danger,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
it doesn't know. So okay, let's make sure that it's not an actual danger, and then we're going back to breathing. Because when we breathe, deep breaths in, deep breaths out, when we breathe, it regulates us really, really fast. Because when you are like running away from that tiger, right, you're not breathing properly, right?
Yeah.
You're not breathing deeply. So we do breathing exercises. Just do 5 to 6 deep breaths, and start doing little things, tiny little things, the most obvious things in your home, rather than going into a closet straight away, where all the lost hopes and dreams about better or fitter you live,
Yes.
or like sentimental items or whatever. No, just go and do something easy, simple. Maybe tidy up a little bit here and there, or throw away some easy things.
Yes.
Easy, easy, easy as in flick of the wrist. If you have to think, what do I do with this item? No, next one. There is plenty to deal with. And when we go from there, because what it does is you build that safety in the nervous system, because your nervous system really quickly learns, oh, that wasn't so bad, right? I didn't die, or like nothing, no one shouted at me, or anything like bad happened.
Yes.
And we also build that self-trust that we can do it, and that's the huge part, especially for people pleasers. Good girl conditioning, people with no boundaries, or
Yeah.
people learning to set boundaries. And in today's world, it's like 95% of all the people, to be honest. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what we do. We go micro. I'm not talking micro spaces, I'm talking micro moves.
Hmm. So just to start to begin, I mean, what you're doing is you're building a new neural pathway, right?
Yeah.
You're giving that reinforcement to that activity, and at the same time creating the safety that's necessary to have you continue to be consistency to be consistent, right? Because I think consistency is the heart of all of it, is sort of
Yeah.
what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, 100%. It compounds. And
Yeah.
I worked 15 hours a day when I decluttered 70% of my stuff. So did I have time to do an hour every day? Like, I mean, maybe one day I would have an hour, but like every day, 7 days a week,
Yes.
no. I actually did, oh my gosh, like 1 minute or even less than 1 minute at the very beginning. Just that, because that was enough. If you add up a minute every day, that's 7 minutes. That's 7 minutes in a week more than not doing 7 minutes,
Yes.
right? 30 seconds is more than not doing 30 seconds.
Yes.
And people think a lot of times here, I hear a lot people saying that, I don't want to be doing 1 minute because I'll never finish. Yeah, but week one, do 1 minute. Week two, you'll see that you'll do more without even realizing it. And then all of a sudden, you'll just be there, like throwing stuff away left, right, center, uh, throwing, recycling, donating, all that,
Hmm.
um, without even pushing yourself, because we're not pushing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
that's sort of my way of doing it.
I love that. I mean, and the truth is, sometimes, like if we're looking at a space that we know needs to be decluttered, and like you said, it is a never ending process, right? It's like you feel like you get it all done, and then you go back and you start all over again. It's kind of like we moved into this house. We're here for 2 years, and I'm already like, oh my gosh, it's time to like start going through everything all over again. We move with it, what I thought was as little as possible. But there's still a couple of boxes in the garage I haven't even opened.
Yeah, and that's just life. That's always how it's going to be. And the beauty of the way I teach people to declutter is that we always circle around, we're doing like loops around the house,
Yeah.
right? So you choose one space, whichever, it doesn't really matter. The best, I would say, the best place, the one that I recommend, especially at the beginning, is the one that you see the most often, because you want to see those results. That's pure just brain science here. You want to see results, it motivates you, so you do more, right? So do that space, only make the easy decisions, the things that, it's just so obvious. Like right now I have like two cans of empty cans of drinks on my desk. So if I was to declutter my desk, or like, have a go at my desk, because decluttering and cleaning, for me, cleaning is like wiping, but even removing trash, that's also decluttering, right?
Yes.
So I like removing stuff from home, that is decluttering basically. So if I was to have a go at my desk right now, and I only had like capacity for like tiny little thing, I would remove those two things and I would move to a different area, or I would just be done for today. But when we make those easy decisions and we don't make ourselves feel guilty for not being able to declutter some items, that's a huge win.
Yeah.
That's a massive thing. We look at, oh, I haven't done this, and that, but we don't look at what we've already done and celebrate that.
Oh, that's so true. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And it makes a difference. What's the name of that book? Mm, there is a book out there where it's actually it's a book for entrepreneurs, and the premise of the book is like exactly what you just said. Like we all the gap in the gain. That's what it's called, the
Mhm.
gap in the gain, and it talks about how we always see the gap, right? We always see like where we want to be and how we're not there versus acknowledging all the little things that we have done to actually get to a place. And when we're in, I'm going to call it energetic vibration, right? When we're energetically aligned and we're like happy and we're giving ourselves that acknowledgement, that the catch 22 is that it moves us and propels us to go forward faster and easier, right? More efficiently, joyously, versus harping on like, oh my gosh, I'm not here. It's that's like a drainer, an energy drainer,
Mhm.
versus the other side of the coin, which brings us that energy and that inspiration, right?
Yeah, oh my gosh, I love that you brought up that energetic alignment,
Yes.
because that's the thing, right? If you do the easy things and you move through decluttering in a sequence of movements that make you feel good, what are
Yes.
you naturally will want to do more of?
Hmm.
That, right? But if you move through decluttering in a sequence of movement that only bring shame and judgment because you haven't been
Yeah.
able to adhere to a rule that is just ridiculous, like, the I don't even know any of those rules, to be honest. I really have to think hard. um like, for an example, because I just like refuse all of them. um but that's the thing, like, energetically, if you make yourself feel good through doing the things that make you feel good, then you're going to do more of that, right? One more thing that I actually want to mention is just dropped in for me is also the inner narrative.
Mm,
So how are we actually speaking to ourselves, right?
yes.
Because we can be the best friends to other people, and we can be like the worst cows to
Yes.
us, right,
Yes.
internally. And i always I always like to sort of talk about it in a sense of, imagine having like two friends, right? You have this one friend that, you go to that friend and you tell them that, I want to declutter my home. Enough is enough. I want to do that. I really need that for myself, right? And this person is going to say to you, well, are you stupid? Like, you're never going to be able to achieve this. Look at all the other things, you're still overweight, XYZ, whatever, those negative things,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then you go to that second person, right? And you tell them the same thing. And they go to you, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I cheer you on, you know, I know you're gonna be able to do it. You are amazing, XYZ. Next time when something goes wrong, who are you going to go to? Who are you going to feel safe to
Yeah.
go to and tell that person, right? That's
Mhm.
what we have to create for ourselves.
Yes.
That sense of safety, that no matter what happens, it's all working out. It
Yeah.
is all working out for you. You are here in this right moment of time. you were meant to be here, right? You were meant to hear this message. You were meant to listen to this podcast. You were meant to actually embody what is being said here. And if you feel this way, great. If you don't hear what we are saying, you're listening, but you're not hearing it, you're not here, you're not there yet, right? Maybe
Right.
you never will, and that's okay too, right?
Yes.
Maybe my message is not for you. Maybe someone else's message about
Yes.
decluttering is going to be for you. But no matter what, it's okay. Like everything is working out for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's one of my favorite sayings is everything is always working out for your highest and best interest, even if you don't like the way it feels sometimes, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the universe has like so many ways to
Yeah.
bring our deepest desires to us, most of the time in the ways that we wouldn't even expect.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Well, talk to me. I know you've got so many stories of, clients that you've worked with and how they've, walked down this pathway and how it's really made a difference. Is like, who's your favorite person?
It would be me. No, but yes, I do have, there's just so many different stories. But for me, it's always this one with every single client, no matter how different they are. Because I've had clients who, they send me pictures. Not all of them share pictures, and it's okay. Like, it's their journey. I'm not there to tell them, you have to get rid of that chair or you have to do XYZ. I'm not there to
Yeah.
do that. I'm there to support them in their own decision making process with all of the tools that we have at our disposal. But I've had clients with extremely messy houses. I had clients with seemingly, I remember she shared pictures with me, and I was like, "Are you sure you need my help?" And but it doesn't matter. Like clutter is sometimes it's sneaky because what to you is clutter to someone else is the end of the world,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
So there's always like this one moment with every single client when they go, "Oh, so I can make my own decisions." Right? And it's just like, yeah, you're like 55. You can make your own decisions, but we don't know. We don't know that. That permission, like we very often just need to hear a permission that, whatever you've decided to do, it's okay. And I love this moment because from that moment, decluttering becomes literally effortless, right? They literally from that moment, they start like throwing away, donating, gifting, or whatever they do with the stuff, like literally backfalls
Yeah.
because there's just this like something clicks, and they understand that no one's going to shout at them for decluttering an item that they've kept because maybe I'll use it one day. No one is going to come in barging and like shake them and say like, what are you doing, right? They sort of embody that feeling of, I get to decide what to do with those things,
Yeah.
right? That is the beautiful moment always.
I love that. And it comes back to what you were saying in terms of creating that safety, and when we can create that, like sometimes you're right. Sometimes we need that permission because we've got all this past programming about what's right and what's not right versus kind of tuning in to, I mean, really it's our own intuition, right? Getting present to how things impact us, like in our body, and letting go of whatever that noise chatter
Yeah.
is in our mind. And I think you're spot on, because I mean it's pervasive in probably all the different areas of our lives, not just with clutter, but in terms of our health, in terms of our relationships, in terms of our conversations about money, in terms of all of these different areas, you
Yeah,
know
for sure. And like you said, I truly believe that decluttering is just one tiny element that when it clicks and when we do that, because Oh, how do I want to say this? It's like this missing piece of the puzzle where when we are able to fully trust ourselves through making those decisions, everything else around us falls into place,
Yeah.
right? I remember this moment for myself, from my own story, where I've been decluttering for like a maybe a month or two or something like that, and I met this guy, right? And remember, huge people pleaser, right? So I met this guy, and we started dating. And it was funny because I've always, in the past, I would always date the same version of, like, five different versions of the same guy, right? A narcissist, like a, huge ego player, whatever. And I would be, as a people pleaser, just overextending myself,
Mm,
right? And I remember with this guy, I said, I sent him a text or something, and it was scary for me. Um, it was a text, something about, if we setting a boundary, some sort of boundary. I don't remember exactly what it was. And he said, "Yeah, okay, I'm cool with that." And he respected my boundary, right? And
yes.
I was like, "What just happened?" Right? Like, I can do that. And that's the thing. I don't think, I truly believe that had I not set those boundaries with staff, had I not started decluttering, I don't think I'd be able to then take that, what I've learned, that bravery, right, that
Yeah.
confidence,
Yes.
into um the new relationship, and then moving countries, because I decided to leave everything behind. I lived in England at the time. Now I live in Poland. I moved back to Poland, and then I started my decluttering business because I was brave enough to follow what I wanted to do
Yeah.
for a change. Yeah.
Yeah, gosh, I love that. And the overarching thing that I hear is confidence, right? And it
Yes.
makes a lot of sense because when we can release the negative conversations about the shoulds and what we haven't done and so on and so forth, and we actually just start taking some action, maybe it's not spending an hour, but maybe like you said, it's just spending a single minute, we start to re-engage and rebuild the relationship that we have with ourselves in terms of our own integrity, right? It brings back that pride. It brings back that, even that sense of control. It brings back that confidence rather than feeling like we're always failing or look at this, I'm being pulled apart by the environment. Like it's the clutter's fault. Like, no, I'm in the driver's seat. I am responsible. And hey, I can do it at whatever pace I want to take, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. And it's just such a beautiful way to look at it. Um, if we give ourselves that permission to make our own choices, and to be okay with however long it's going to take, and be okay with however messy, and that there's not always going to be progress, that maybe one day you'll go and to, I don't know, to Walmart or Target or whatever store, and just buy a bunch of things that you didn't even want, but you sort of had to buy them for whatever reason, and it's fine, it's okay, there is no rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no
I like
rules.
that. I love that. So give us some tips. What are some of the actionable things that people can begin to do to clear things up in a way that feels safe for them and in a way that feels authentic for them?
I love this question, and I believe I do have for the listeners, a freebie where they can actually take those 3 steps that I
Yeah.
want to talk about. So the first thing is always regulate first, right? So these are the 3 moves that I encourage everyone to, at the very beginning of their journey, to do. So the first one is regulate first. So we talked about, checking for the environment, if we are actually safe, then going back to breathing. But also there is a little exercise that we can do as well, so to regulate, to bring ourselves back from being in that cloud of, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, like I cannot, like overwhelm, frustration, all of that.
Right.
Back to earth, back to earth, and start naming things, right? The 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can hear, there's 3 things that you can touch, then 2 things that you can smell, and then 1 thing that you can taste, right? And then from there, because it's going to calm you down, okay?
Yes.
So you'll
Yes.
calm down, and then the second step is my MVP method, which is most visible point. What
Hmm.
it is choose the spot that you see the most and start from there, right? Start removing easy things. Maybe if it's a desk, I'll go back to my desk. If I was going to do my desk, there's like some empty cans here, an ice cream thingy that I just had before we hopped on the call. So some trash, some like easy things. Maybe I have to, take the water bottle back downstairs. So those easy things, everything that is um, causing you to think, oh, I don't know what to do with this item. Skip it. Like it's okay to leave it on that desk if that's where you sort of always keep it, right?
Right.
And then the third move from this is it's a journaling exercise, right? Why we struggle with clutter a lot of times is because we are afraid of what it actually, if we were to reach that goal, what is going to happen, right? That fear
Right.
of success.
Right.
Fear of failure is big one for humans, but fear of success is probably even bigger, right?
Yes. And hidden,
So
right? People are like,
yeah,
oh, success. I'm not afraid of being successful. Okay,
yeah.
let's dive into that.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about it, right? So that's the journaling prompt. And I really encourage people to grab old school pen and paper, not a notes app on your phone, because what happens is you actually writing stuff down is actually the only moment where our brain doesn't like change the subject, like it focuses on the
Right.
action, right? So write out what am I afraid is going to happen if I let go of this item? Or the other version question is, what do I think I'll have to sacrifice to become a person who can let go easily, who to become a person without all of that clutter? And
Yeah.
see what comes up.
Yes.
Do that.
Yeah, and for our listeners, so in the show notes, Dorota will gift everybody here her 3 simple moves. Your nervous system friendly discovering jumpstart. So that jumpstart document is available to you in the show notes. So make sure you check that out and you click on it and you start to dive into some of these things, because it's one thing to just kind of listen to a podcast. It's another thing to actually just take one step, right? Because if you're here and you're listening, then this is certainly something that's of interest to you. Now actually do something with that. So I invite you all to make sure that you check the show notes and go ahead and download that. So I love it. So are there we may have overlapped here, but I always ask all of our guests, what are, so outside of those 3 simple moves, are there 3 actionable items that our listeners can begin to take on starting now that will help them start to move the dial?
Okay, let me think, because I don't want to. Here's the thing, right? Going too far into the steps, if we don't cover the basics, is not going to be helpful. But
So
what I love actually to say here is that if we look at our home from what the function of it actually is and what we do in it and what we have to do, because we have to do some things, and we have all of that clutter, is actually there's 2 things in there. We have the backlog, right? So that's the clutter that is sort of, you know, in the future happy to let go of, I would say. And but we also have those maintenance things of the house that we have to do,
yes.
right? So dishes, right? Laundry. What else is there? Tidying up, hoovering, actual cleaning, right? Because decluttering and cleaning, those are two different things.
Yeah.
So I would say is at the beginning, if touching decluttering proves to be too hard, right? Start with maybe give yourself like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, just doing those daily, I call them daily maintenance habits.
Yes.
So basically, make sure that you go to bed with dishes done, right? So wash the dishes. Maybe when you finish with the living room for a day, tidy up for 5 minutes, right?
Yes.
Maybe make your bed every morning.
Yeah.
That's a huge one. Make your bed every single morning. So you can split those things into like the things that I do in the evening, in the evenings, things that I do in the mornings. They shouldn't take more than 1 minute, max 2 minutes, because again, we don't want to now add half an hour daily routine, right?
Right. Right.
Right. Well, sometimes dishes take longer, but it's dishes, right? Like we have to do dishes. But done dishes have a huge impact on kitchen alone, right? If we just have all of that taken care of, kitchen becomes so much more tidy straight away, right?
Yeah.
So I would definitely suggest doing that rather than maybe jumping into decluttering when we feel like it's going to be hard, it's going to be challenging. Have a look how your home is going to change after those like 3 to 4 weeks, just tidying up alone and throwing away some easy things like some trash, right? Have
Yes.
a look, and I promise that there is going to be a huge impact, not only the way the space looks, but actually how you're going to feel in your home.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Yeah. I mean, it's one step at a time. I always say Rome wasn't built in a day, right? And again, when we're jumping into things maybe too far or too fast, then we do create that lack of safety. So coming back all the way back to what you said in the very beginning about making sure that we are in that safe space. So
Exactly. Yeah, and sometimes even if you don't do absolutely anything in a day and the only goal that you managed to achieve was to survive the day,
yes.
celebrate that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love this. Dorota, thank you so much for all of the wisdom. Thank you for how you help to get people's lives on track, to have them feel good. And thank you for this, new perspective on, there doesn't, decluttering isn't about this rigidity that we've sort of been led to believe, that it's more about, hey, tapping into your nervous system, feeling safe, and more about creating flow than in anything else. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about how they can learn more about what you do and your wisdom around this subject?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram under Dorota Kuldo Decluttering. So that's DOROTAKULDO Decluttering. And in there, I share all of my knowledge. This is my main source of social media presence. The second way to connect with me would be through my podcast, but this is not it's not podcast where I talk about decluttering. It's guided meditations. So this is a wonderful nervous system regulation tool, if anything. So you can find it on YouTube under Space to Breathe and Be. I've just
Mhm.
started uploading, but also on Spotify as well. On Spotify, you have 17 guided meditations, and
Wow.
we go really, really deep into your subconscious mind. And just imagine, I don't want to like spoil too much, but just imagine going deep into the forest, beautiful clearing, Harry Potter magic, that kind of thing, right?
Love it.
So, so that's where people can find me.
I love that. And you guys, we will have that in the show notes. So if you didn't catch that, or you're driving, or you're doing something else, be sure to revisit the show notes and click on all of those links there. So Dorota, thank you so much for being here today, for joining us and sharing these tips and tricks and just words of wisdom with us. So
Thank
thank
you so
you.
much.
All
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week for the next episode of True Wellness with Dr. D. Remember to see the show notes. This is Dr. D reminding you to tune into your body, connect with what matters, and embrace the journey to true wellness. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ready to redefine their health. Be sure to grab a copy of the True Wellness checklist right in the show notes. Let's keep redefining wellness and empowering change together. See you for the next episode.